Okay, what's going on, everyone? Welcome, everyone, to YU's Q&A with Joey Chestnut. This man has won the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating World Championships a record-breaking 13 times. He has more rings than Tom Brady and Michael Jordan combined. And in 2008, he won Kenny and Ziggy's Matzo Ball Eating Championships in Houston, Texas in 2008. And he holds the world record in dozens of competitive eating events. And we'd like to introduce the one and only Joey Chestnut.
Woo! Thank you so much. Great to be on with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. I'm here moderating the question and answer with my Vice President of Student Council, Jared Benjamin.
Woo!
And we're super excited. We're both huge fans. Been following the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Championships for years now. So, Joey, we'd just like to get started. If you can tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into competitive eating, leading up to, I guess, just generally like how you got to where you are today, and if you could give us some background on your training regimen.
Oh yeah, well, it wasn't my plan at all. I was in college. I was 21, and I was doing everything right. But I'd grown up in a big family, and the boys were always competitive, 4 boys, and the only thing I could do, like, to actually beat my older brothers at, were the 2 older brothers, was eating. And me and my little brother would do, like, pretty much contests every dinner against my 2 older brothers. And we would be able to eat more than 2 older brothers. And this is, like, after the day of them kicking our butts and everything else. But we were able to beat them in eating. And so I was in college. I was 21. And my little brother knew I was the biggest eater. And he signed me up to a contest in Reno, Nevada, and I was pretty much the only reason why I went to it was because after he signed me up, they called me and said, "Hey, you're in this contest. If you come, you'll actually get a free hotel room." And it was a casino, and I was like, "Oh, I'm 21. I'll go get a free hotel room in a casino and eat some lobster." And I got on stage, and I was so nervous. I was eating in front of people. And usually, when I eat fast, it's in a comfortable setting with friends or family, or after a night out, or on my way to work. And this was so awkward. It was like going against everything like you've ever learned growing up. And these people everyone was like, keep going. And I was just so awkward. But I ended up tying for third, and I loved it instantly. I was mad at myself because I knew that I let my nervousness get the best of me, and my shyness, but I loved it. And so 2 weeks later, there was another contest, and I I was able to win that one. And it was cool. And it was, and I fell in love. It's like,
what food was it?
I can compare it to like a football player when he's 5 years old, a professional one. He knows, like, when the first time he plays football, he probably knew that he wanted to go pro. That was his goal. And then when I first did that lobster contest, I was like, oh my God. I had that moment. It was like, I can beat everybody. And I started thinking about it and nonstop. And I fell in love with it. It kept, and I got I got lucky. And I looked at it like an engineering problem. I looked at the eating. It's not just going in hungry. It's not like a meal.
Or no?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Did you get is that the trophy behind you? The first one you won?
Oh yeah, no. The first one I won was a deep fried asparagus. But yeah, so I just fell in love with it. And I kept pushing. But yeah, there's a ton of trophies. A lot of these are Nathan's trophies. Some of the trophies from contests are. I remember that first one I won, the asparagus, deep fried asparagus. It was made out of like this weird like pallet material, and a lot of them fall apart. A lot of the contests aren't big, but I love them.
Did you know how popular of a sport that competitive eating was when you entered, or are you more just like entered into a random contest for fun?
No, it was. I knew it was on ESPN. I remember me and my little brother watched ESPN, and we saw Kobayashi eat 50 hot dogs. His first time doing it, and he said, and I remember Willie said, oh, "I think you could eat 50 hot dogs." I was like, "I think I could too, but it's just weird." I thought it was too weird to do, and he finally convinced me to do that first one. I was like, oh my God, I had that moment, and it worked out.
can you go into a little bit about some of your like training regimens that you do?
Training, it's yeah. So it's changed over the years. When I was younger, I used to be able to do a practice pretty much every other day. I do a practice, recovery, going to do the next practice, and every practice I try to build up. Now I'm
Practice.
the practice is like a full on. I'm cooking the food that's in the contest, and I'm practicing with the technique. It's a full on practice contest, and it's hard. And I push hard. I videotape the practices, and I watch them the next day, and I see where I'm slowing down, what kind of technique I'm using, what I could change. So every practice, I try to build up a little bit. Every time I get it down and digest it, I know I can do a little bit more the next time. If I get sick, I have to watch the video and try to figure out why I got sick. If there's what issue it is, whether I'm eating too fast or my technique is making certain muscles tired. But it's a lot of in the early years, was a lot of practice with actual food, and then around 24, 25, I was getting heavy, so I had to start cutting it back. And now these days I do a practice may at most twice a week. Usually for Nathan's, I'll start practicing once a week and then ramp up in like June to twice a week. But it's harder on the body now. I can definitely feel it now that I'm older, and I have to be a little bit more careful.
Awesome.
How does your body react after you do one of these?
Oh my god, it's not happy. It's like a marathon runner. After they run a marathon, they're not feeling great afterwards, and it's after a boxing match or anything, if you're pushing your body to a crazy limit, you're not going to feel great. And it took me a while to realize that, all right, I'm not going to this like dinner. I know I'm not going to feel great afterwards, but this is something I'm willing to accept because I want to win. And once I went into contest knowing that I was going to feel like garbage for a day, sometimes a day and a half, I started to do better because it's just like you're accepting it and you're expecting it. So it's the next day I'm lethargic. Usually if I'm eating meats in the contest, if I start sweating, I'll start smelling like whatever salty meat I was eating. When I did hard-boiled eggs, when I started sweating after a contest, I smelled like sulfur. I remember I was on the plane and I started sweating, and it just smelled like sulfur in the plane. It was terrible.
So how did you manage to keep up your training during the COVID-19 pandemic and manage to not only win again this year in the contest, but surpass your own world record this year with 75 hot dogs?
It was different. I was confident that we were gonna have a contest no matter what, and so I all the other events this year were pretty much canceled. So I only had one contest to look at, and that was just hot dogs. So usually during the year, I have contests in March, April, May, June, and those things. When I start training for those events, it slows down my training for 4th of July. So this year, I had nothing to do but practice for the 4th of July. Once, maybe twice a week, I was doing a practice, and I was able to videotape them. I mean, this year I had a really crazy rhythm. In the beginning of the contest, I was like 32 hot dogs in 3 minutes, and it was killer. I was doing great until like minute 6. I like a hot dog got like a little bit jammed in my throat, and I stopped for a little bit, but it took a while. But this year could have been like 80 hot dogs if I didn't get lazy at the end. But it was.
You got lazy at the end?
I got a little bit lazy at that 6-minute mark. It's always tough.
Yeah.
But it's but I love it. And it was awesome because this year during quarantine, I was getting a ton of fan mail, and it was like super motivational. I was like, all right, I'm gonna keep training because I got it. It was like, all right, these guys are gonna watch. I'm gonna push hard.
Yeah. I watched the video. That guy was just yelling behind your ear the entire time. I don't know how you were concentrating. George, right? George, I think.
George, that guy has the beats, and it was so weird to hear him yell and not have a crowd response because this guy he's able to make the crowd respond. He has a great interaction with the crowd, and he watches what I'm doing, and I feed off the energy of the crowd. And this year was just so weird, and it was like I was like, oh my god, I'm eating so fast. I was expecting you feel like you should have the crowd chanting or something, but it was like there's nothing there. And, I'm hoping I can find that crazy speed next year, and when hopefully there's going to be an audience.
Do you think that, first of all, I just realized that there's somebody on the Zoom, Saul Kurtz. I think he's having a dental operation in the middle of the Zoom. If everybody wants to look at him, which is pretty crazy. He looks like he's at the dentist right now. But very funny. We're talking about eating. He's at the dentist. He's waving. But do you think that the fact that this year's competition was like weather controlled as opposed to previous years, where it's just really outdoors at Coney Island, and do you think that had any effect on how you're going to attack it and how it ended up playing out for you?
I think the weather helped a little bit, but maybe not that much, because I like eating in the heat, and I like to start sweating, because when you're sweating, your heart's beating a little bit faster. When you're not hot, it's sometimes hard to get excited to eat in an eating contest, but with the heat, I'm only pushing for 10 minutes, so the heat really can't affect me that much. But I think the big difference this year was that they cooked less hot dogs, and it's a lot easier to cook 400 hot dogs versus 2,000 hot dogs. And the hot dogs they made, the guy who was cooking them, he did a really good job. It was easier for him to put a lot of thought in each one of them. They were all like restaurant quality, and it was that made it easy, because a good tasting hot dog or any kind of food that's better tasting is so much easier to eat, and it's more enjoyable. It goes back to why I'm great at competitive eating. I love to eat and love to eat good food. So it's and like the hardest thing in the contest for me for practicing or getting into the hot dog contest was learning how to eat that wet bun. The wet bun is disgusting, and it goes against. I remember when I started training for the hot dog contest the first time, I was like, I'm not going to eat the wet bun, and then I tried it. And I was like, oh, it's so disgusting, but it was faster. But I had to just train myself, and it's not a wet bun anymore. It's a sip of water that looks like a bun, and that's what I had to teach myself that's get over it and like it. But I think the good hot dogs this year were the big thing that helped.
So on a little bit like of a side note, so you and Takeru Kobayashi have competed against each other numerous times in other hot dog competitions, and as well as several other food events. Kobayashi was like the first superstar competitive eater, and in 2006, you were on the rise as like a young 23-year-old. And in the Nathan's contest that year, you were actually leading most of the contest and ended up losing by just 1 3/4 of a hot dog. And then the next year, in 2007, you came back and won 66-63, setting a world record at the time. Can you share how it felt after that win in 2007, and what made you succeed this time around in 2007 versus 2006? And also, if you just go into a little bit of the rivalry with Kobayashi that you guys had.
Oh my God, yeah, those are some awesome years. We were pushing each other up and up, and 2006 was devastating for me, because I was practicing hard for that year. And in practice that year, I was doing like 58 in practice, and it was just I was expecting that year to happen, but I kind of choked. I started off fast, and then I got nervous in the contest. I was dunking my buns in cups that didn't have water, and I was eating, not just nervous or excited, and I was panicked at the end. Once I saw that he was closing the gap, I started overstuffing my mouth. I remember there was pictures of me with my cheeks stuffed and hot dogs sticking out, and part of I do my best, and most people do their best when they're calm. It's this weird mix of calm and excited, but you can't be panicked. And I was panicked at the end of that contest, and I didn't get the win. It sucked. And the next year I looked at the video, and I practiced and doubled down, and I knew Kobayashi was bringing it, and we both made personal bests, and I was able just to get that a little bit more than him.
It's epic. Yeah, I watched the video. It's crazy.
And it's so weird because like that when in 2007, like I remember in my life like anything you want to do, your parents, your friends, people were like, oh, you can do it, and beating Kobayashi, that was the only thing that people were like, oh, nobody can beat him, and nobody can beat him, and that's like the only like getting my engineering degree, they always say, oh, you can do that, and like, but beating Kobayashi, or he was like, oh, nobody can beat him, and beating him in 2007 was like, oh, big F you to everybody, like, yeah, I was able to do something that's like the only thing in my life that I think I've been able to do that people said I couldn't do, and it was perfect.
That's awesome.
Well, speaking of going into OT, have you ever been in overtime with anybody else in any other competition? And if so, when?
Yeah, so OT, I love it. It's exciting. In fact, so that's the way I practice. Usually I do a practice, full speed contest practice for whatever length the contest is, and then I take a little break, adjust, suck in my stomach, push it down, convince myself I have more room, and say, all right, we're going to start again. And then I start eating. I try to do another pound of food, eat for another minute. And so I've done like I think 4 different overtimes. Once my first victory in deep fried asparagus, I won that in overtime.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a couple of them. What's another waffles? I did that in overtime. At Waffle House Waffles, got the win. Wow. So there's been some good ones.
That's crazy. Like your first competitive sporting event was overtime. Like that must like when you got that win, that must have like been like a real hype for you to like continue doing this.
Oh yeah, it was like I said, I've gotten lucky a couple times, and these little wins, they like that first win with the overtime, it kind of solidified that, all right, I want to put more energy into it. If I didn't get that little win by the overtime, I might not have been motivated to put more energy into it. I might not have been able to justify keep pushing myself in this weird thing. But I got lucky.
Would you say that Kobayashi is your greatest rival, and if not, then who is?
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to believe. It's been 16 years, almost 6. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been doing this, and by far he's the biggest rival. Even though I haven't eaten against him in 10 years, but I'm always keeping hope that we're going to be able to work an agreement where we can eat against each other. But he's an animal. He pushed it hard in every contest, and I was kind of lazy. Some contests, but he killed it, and I respect that man. And he's the one who made it not normal, because competitive still isn't normal, but he made it more acceptable. You could see that he treated it like a sport, and it wasn't just a big guy out there eating stuff in his face. It was a guy who put some thought into it, and it really made it okay for me to put some thought into it. So I have a lot of respect for him.
The next question, actually, all these questions were submitted by different students, and this one actually happens to be mine. The question is, what does it mean to you that on America's birthday you're doing such like Americans love eating? I mean, we love barbecues. And hot dogs is one of those foods that it makes me think of America. I know there's like sausage, bratwurst, other kinds of foods like that which are from other countries, but hot dogs really feel very American. What does it mean to you to be doing this on America's birthday, and how everybody's watching and rooting for you on such a special day?
Oh, it really is the best. That's one of the big things about it. It's like even people who don't like competitive eating, they'll watch that contest. It's part of Americana now, and it's I don't know. I'm so happy to be part of people's 4th of July. And it's always been my favorite holiday. There's fireworks, there's eating, there's low stress. You're around people. It's not like some Thanksgivings you have to be around family members you don't want to be around or something. But for 4th of July, you're around the people you really want to be around. You're going to the party you want to be at. There's no obligations other than you're gonna have fun, celebrate 4th of July, and have a blast. And I'm always I'm taken back that people have made it part of their 4th of July, and eating hot dogs. Yeah, it's awesome, and I it's really important. I'm lucky that I love hot dogs. It's like the perfect storm. I love the hot dogs. I love 4th of July, and it just works out perfect. And it made it. I'm really lucky that this contest is hot dogs on the 4th of July because and it's the biggest contest. So it's super easy to get motivated.
Is that contest is the highlight of your year for sure, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even if there's other events that might pay more money or have hot dogs, it's the contest that everybody recognizes. If you're a competitive eater, you're doing your best at that contest, and that's what people are going to judge you by.
So I've noticed that some professional eaters use headphones when they're competing. Do you feel that is helpful? And if so, how come you don't wear any?
I've never worn headphones. I don't like anything on me. Like I don't wear a watch. I don't like wearing earphones, even like when I'm running. So I just never got into headphones. So it's I don't think it wouldn't help me. It would probably make me uncomfortable. I like to hear the crowd. I usually have somebody right in front of me yelling, whether it's my brother or one of my friends, and so that headphones would take away from that. But it's just I enjoy the audience. I enjoy the atmosphere of the event.
This question is actually, I think a lot of people are curious about this. So the question reads, you've eaten 75 hot dogs in 10 minutes. If you had an infinite amount of time, how many hot dogs do you think you could eat?
I mean, in one sitting, it's like one sitting. I've done 93, and that took about 50 minutes, and so I did a practice contest, recovered, did more hot dogs, stretched. So I was in that stretch. I was thinking, all right, I think I can do 100. But dude, after 90, I was just full as hell. So and part of it, like part of my whole training thing is when I finally get the food down and digest it, I know, all right, I can. The trick is I can do it faster the next time. But after I did 93, I never ever wanted to eat that many again. I felt like garbage for so long, and it just So I haven't pushed that hard again. But 93 is about my limit. There'd have to be a really really big reason for me to go past 93.
Wow. So this question is from Josef Rosenfeld. So did Matt Stoney begin to scare you after snapping your 8-year winning streak in 2015, or did this loss only further motivate you to your subsequent titles?
I don't know. It scared me. I don't think it. I get excited. That kid he's a beast too. That year he won. It was like he was on pretty much a 1-year winning streak. He was unstoppable. He does, and that was. I'm not making excuses, but that was also the year my engagement got called off, like right before the contest. We had 2 weeks before, and it did not help out. But he's an animal, and I have nothing but respect for that kid. He's able to push his body super hard, and but losing it did motivate me. It made me realize, like, all right, this is what I love doing. I don't want to go back into construction management. I even though I was good, I wasn't the best in the world at it, and now I didn't make people happy arguing over change orders. Now I get to make people happy and keep people's butt eating, and it made me really focus. And I think after I lost that year, I'm losing close to 30 pounds, eating healthy, and really getting back into finding my speed. And the next year I came back and I think I did 69 hot dogs or 70 hot dogs. It was I put up some awesome numbers in 2016. So it's it all worked out. I'm not happy I lost, but I'm happy that Matt beat me. I'm happy that Matt won, but it's an awesome dude. But it's in the end, it all worked out.
Is it that when is better shape for you when you're skinny, or is it when you're heavier? Because like I've seen like it's definitely a wide range of like for competitive eaters.
Yeah, I wouldn't say skinny is not the best. It's when I'm more fit, when I'm running more, I can control my breathing during a contest. When I'm healthier, when anybody's healthier, they can push their body harder. So it's eating competitive eating is this weird double-edged sword. You have to love to eat. You have to practice eating. But you also have to be healthy enough to push your body really hard. And it's really easy to become unhealthy and not be able to control breathing. Sorry about the dogs, but the running is really important for me. If you get winded while you're during an eating contest, you're breathing through your mouth, and then if you're breathing through your mouth, you're not eating or swallowing or doing anything. So it's really important for me to be able to run. Lately, I've been doing Peloton, which it actually is pretty awesome. It's low impact, so I'll be hopefully I'll be able to work out or push myself even harder.
Is your dog's name Hot Dog or no?
No, one's Thorn, of a white German Shepherd, and then the other one's Suze. It's my girlfriend's dog.
Okay.
So
I would have guessed Weenie if you were taking.
I wanted to get a little weird dog named Kobayashi.
Sure. Okay, so the next question is: when you eat the foods, are you like when you eat it? Are you really eating the food, or is it more like swallowing? It sounds like when we were saying before that the taste actually does make a difference. You were saying that this past year the hot dogs tasted better. So is it more swallowing? Is it more eating? How would you describe it?
I understand the question. Like, so the muscles in my throat are really, really strong, so I don't need to chew as much as most people. You chew it usually enough to feel comfortable, to swallow comfortably, and so the muscles in the beginning of the contest are super amped up. I'm not chewing that much, but I am tasting the food. I mean, I don't know what the definition of eating is. Eating's taking in the food, digest it. So it means even though I'm swallowing bigger chunks, I still consider eating. I'm still tasting it. But you're right. There's definitely less chewing in the beginning of the contest when all the muscles in my throat are strong. Towards the end of the contest, it's definitely more like eating. I have to chew my food more because the muscles in my throat are tired, and it's a lot more like eating. And that and you're tasting more of the food. That's when the quality of the food it comes into play. Also, it's if it's garbage food, it's sitting in the back of your throat a little bit longer, and you're more likely to get nauseous.
Do you ever throw up after a contest? And like, how much weight do you like put on usually like after each competition?
It definitely happens. When I was younger, I'd get sick. It was like a toss up. Like probably like 40% of the time, and it was mostly because I was pushing really, really hard in the contest, and I didn't know my body that well. I didn't prep. I didn't really figure it out. Now these and also it was heat stroke. I was kind of a chubby kid. Afterward, if I'm dehydrated, I was doing stupid things. So the day of the contest, I used to stop drinking water because I thought, I don't want to have to take away my capacity, which thinking back, I was being really stupid. But anyways, when I was dehydrated, I couldn't digest the food, and I went to a nutritionist, and they're like, yeah, you need to take in more liquid, and so that was one of the problems why I was getting sick earlier in competitive eating. But yeah, now these days it's pretty rare for me to get sick unless there's if it's a food I'm not familiar with at all. If I'm doing a specialty food, then my body, like I did a brain taco eating contest like 4 years ago, and that one, I remember I got off the stage and my body was like just rejecting, and that's that it's I usually leave it up to my body. If my body's rejecting it, then it's gonna happen. But usually I can feel it settling. Then I start to get thirsty and tired, and then it's a one-way road after that.
So a lot of students have been asking me this, and I think that if there's anyone on the planet to settle this, it's you. So from James Heisler, he was the first one to ask, is hot dog a sandwich or not?
Oh God, hot dog is a hot dog. It's so clear. It's you don't go to a sandwich shop thinking you're gonna get a hot dog, and it's yeah, it's and if you call a hot dog a sandwich, you have to call pretty much anything that you have to call a gyro a sandwich. It's anything with any kind of carbohydrate and it's around meat, and then you have to call a taco a sandwich, and you can't. It's yeah. So hot dog's a hot dog. And let some. You don't have to keep everything under the umbrella of a sandwich.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for answering that.
The debate is officially settled. Okay, so the next question comes from Danny Blank. He asks, so you've said that this year's hot dogs were easier to eat because they were warmer and therefore they were easier to consume. So, and we all said that they tasted better. So, when you practice, do you use hot or cold dogs?
No, I was fucking I was motivated. No, I trained like a mother to win.
No, not taking anything away from the win, for sure not. So, when you practice, do you prefer warm dogs or you use cold dogs?
Oh yeah, so I get into my whoever's helping me cook the hot dogs. I like to eat them. I like to eat them good. So when I practice, I probably make them a little bit better than I should, and I should practice eating cold dogs that have been sitting out for way too long. But I don't. When I cook all the hot dogs and I bun them, I'm like, oh, these look good. I'm going to eat them as soon as possible. It's really hard to cook all these hot dogs. I've been prepping for like a day and a half, and I have them sitting out. And then I was like, oh, let's let them cool down and not have them eat. Let's eat them not good. So I need to get better at that. I think that would really help me. Also, I think, yeah, there's a couple little things I could do different to just get me used to the setting. I want to do some practice next year in New York. I've been looking at like Airbnbs in Brooklyn, and I think it'd be super easy to actually to go there 2 weeks early and do my last practices in New York, and really feel comfortable and I think that would be like the next level to just be able to push myself a little bit harder.
So you only go to Coney Island for the competition and that's it, generally?
I go to for Coney Island. Usually, I'm doing media in New York for like a week leading up to the contest, and so so I don't get to I get to do one practice out there. I usually go to a friend's house and go practice. In that last practice, if you're eating 70 hot dogs at a friend's house, you're not gonna want to push too hard. They're like, I don't want to make a mess. So the last practice is never really good. So I'm really thinking about renting a place for 2 weeks and making a mess of it.
So where do you learn like how like your specific form of eating, and like do you have a coach or trainer that like taught you this style?
It's trial and error. For years, I kept a journal of everything I was eating, of practices. I'd videotape practices. I'd watch them, watch the other eaters. So it took a while, and I put some serious work in, and the training. I've learned ways to train my throat or get the muscles in my throat stronger. And I bought this weird chew toy for my jaws, and this other little like bag that I hang out of my mouth to get these. When I exercise my neck, it's like these little muscles will also get stronger. So I had to look at it like I had to start looking at it like a sport, because there was money involved. Companies were hiring me to go places.
You talk to athletes about their training stuff and like try and compare and contrast and like take on stuff that you hear?
You have to be careful who you're talking to. Like there were very few people that I think and it sounds like, I don't want to sound like a jerk, but I don't want to train like somebody who's not eating very well. It'd be silly to train like somebody who's only eating 30 hot dogs. But I did listen, and sometimes they had a good idea. But in competitive eating, we're all kind of we're at that we're frenemies. And Kobayashi would never tell me how to train. And I mean, I wouldn't really tell him how I train because we're all everything's kind of proprietary. There's no coaches, there's no books, there's no whatever I've learned, I put in the blood, sweat, and agony of feeling the recovery period of figuring it out, and I'm not going to give that away to another eater so that he can potentially beat me. So and I understand why another eater would give me information.
Okay, so the next question is so similar note. So do you have role models that you look up to, athletes or non-athletes, and if so, who they are? I feel like you're the greatest in what you do. So if you were to have, I don't know if you'd have role models in the eating business, but outside the eating business, who do you look up to?
Even in the eating business, there's a couple. There's Matt Stoney. I love how he works hard every contest. Him and Kobayashi are one of the few that every contest they push their body to the absolute limit, and they don't go they figure out their body. It's motivational. Just eating against these little guys who are able to push their body that hard makes me want to work harder. Like, oh, he can do it. I should be able to do more. And both of those guys are great. Matt Stoney, he started doing those YouTube videos years and years ago, and he self-taught editing. And now he has a huge following, and he's definitely a role model. But as far as other athletes, people give me a hard time for this one. I love Barry Bonds, and I love everything. I love his
controversial.
I know, and you know he did whatever it took, and
at the time.
He's unapologetic, and he's not nice about it. He's not nice to the other players. He's out there for one goal, and it's to be the best he could be, hit home runs, and I'm not. I respect that. He went all in, and I like that. And yeah, Barry Bonds. I think I'm hoping society changed a little bit, but
I hope he gets in this year.
Yeah,
it's the Hall of Fame.
Moves up a little bit every year.
So, an article that I read once claimed that while in many other sports it's debatable who's the greatest of all times, but for competitive eating, it's unquestionable that you're the greatest of all time. So it's possible that you are the GOAT, greatest of all times of GOATs. And it even went as far as to say that Michael Jordan is the Joey Chestnut of basketball. Do you consider yourself the most dominant person in any competition? And if not, who would you say are the GOATs or GOAT?
Oh my God! Yeah, well, I think in competitive eating right now, I could be considered the GOAT, but I'm also lucky in competitive eating, being organized events. It's only been around for 20 years, a little bit more than 20 years. So it'd be silly for me to compare myself against NBA or football or these other sports that have been under really organized competitions for long periods, super long periods of time. So it's just, and it's that's just not realistic. Even though I have a huge number of titles, but dude, Michael Jordan, there's no way around it. I mean, he's the GOAT. You look at
LeBron.
Yeah,
there's no way. It's MJ. Zach is a big proponent of the LeBron as the GOAT fan.
What the league in assists this year?
The assists? No, but I think I think in our generation, I think Michael Jordan would probably be the only GOAT, right?
Babe Ruth was a while ago, but you don't put yourself in that class. You're so heads and shoulders above the next best guy.
It's I really believe some guy in college or in high school right now is thinking he has a bigger build than me and naturally a huge diaphragm, so he has huge internal capacity. And if it's just going to take a couple guys to really try, and then I'm going to have some serious competition, or I could even be blown out of the water. It's like Well, you remember you hear the story about the guy who ran the first 4-minute mile, and as soon as he did it, people felt like, oh, they could do it too. And he was no longer the king of it anymore. So it's going to be one of those things that whether it's a 7-foot basketball player who is super athletic and determined and hungry, and I mean, there's no reason why somebody that big shouldn't be able to eat 70 hot dogs in 10 minutes. And all they need is the motivation, the reason to do it, and the know-how. So part of it is that I'm all self-taught, and I think if somebody was teaching these, if really was somebody was motivated, there'd be a reason for somebody to train them. But I do think other people can do what I do, but I'm yeah.
Would you coach ever? You saw like if let's say 1 year you like kind of realize like I don't know if there's like is there even an age thing in competitive eating that like once you hit like 45 you're past your prime, like would you like want to train someone else as like a coach because you
I would definitely train somebody. Yeah, I'm hoping I think I got 3 or 4 more good years in me. I've been able to control my diet, control my weight. My doctor's really happy with the way everything's working. So she does my blood work 2 or 3 times. I think I'm gonna do a 3rd time this year, and make sure that everything's still working right. Because I've changed my diet a little bit, but that's I would definitely train somebody once I retire. Once I decide. I mean, I would love to see. I would love to pick somebody like see. Right. Oh my God, he has natural ability. He just doesn't know exactly how to eat. He doesn't know how to get the food down. He doesn't know. He doesn't understand the way his body's working. I would love to mentor somebody. And but like I said, it's really hard to mentor somebody right now because they're gonna they're gonna compete against me.
Yeah. Would you write a book ever, like The Secrets of Joey?
Oh yeah, I was talking to a writer. It would be 50 Shades of Brown. But yeah, definitely do a book. But I'm just having fun. I'm trying to get through this weird year and hopefully get to travel next year.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just actually curious. You said like you were seeing you saw like the doctor about your like blood pressure just to like stay in shape. Do you see a doctor like do you like talk to health professionals more often than like the average person would because you're an athlete? Like athletes talk to doctors and medical professionals very very frequently. So you also being an athlete, do you do the same thing or?
Oh yeah, it wasn't just blood pressure I was checking. It was get my whole blood work done. Yeah, I talk to my doctor pretty often. She knows me, and I'm surprised that I never get some. I haven't. My medical insurance hasn't gone up, but yeah, I definitely take advantage of. She's a good doctor, and I ask her weird questions, and yeah, so it's. I think that a lot of people are like, "Oh, are you worried about your health?" So of course, I'm worried a little bit. What I'm doing is really weird, and yeah, so going to my doctor and having her look like kind of objectively and look at the numbers and see how everything's working. Say, all right, whatever you're doing, it's not that bad. It's not like you're getting hit in the head. Everything's working, and so I enjoy going to the doctor. It gives me that peace of mind knowing that I can keep pushing hard.
That's great. Okay, so the next question is from Pinchas Rosenfeld. He asks, so if you wanted to become a professional eater, what would be everybody here is in college. We're all together in the same school. So if you're talking to a college student, what should they be looking into doing? What classes are we looking to take? What major would you suggest to somebody that wanted to go into professional eating? And also, would you encourage people to go into a career of professional eating?
Oh, classes. I mean, I kind of I looked at it like an engineering problem. I really just trial and error. You have a little bit of you have to have kind of an analytical mind to figure out the way I did. Or you could be really good at communicating. If you did research and talk to people, you could figure out methods. But yeah, it's a lot of figuring out your body. You have to love to eat. One of my best friends, competitive eater, he's a classically trained chef, and he loves food that much that he ended up just falling in love with it. So with the competitive eating. So I don't know if there's a certain degree that would help you. Nutrition, some sort of medical doctor would probably know the anatomy really well, would know how things are responding and how to push really hard. But I think it's really it's something you have to just love. You have to love to push your body in that really really weird way. Like I love the feeling of eating. I love the feeling of being bloated afterwards. It's just this. It's like I every bit of it, and I don't think there's a degree that helps you. But yeah. What was the second part of the question?
Would you recommend to other younger people that want to go into, like college students who want to go into competitive eating, would you say that's a good move, a good career choice?
As a career, absolutely not. I don't think it's a great career unless there comes, because I like I said, there's not too many eaters who are able to make a career out of it. And I think there's me, Kobayashi, there's Matt Stoney because he does his YouTube videos, but there's very few really big career competitive eaters. But I think more people should try competitive eating. I think it should be more. It shouldn't be eating a lot of food. It shouldn't be something that people think of as absolutely terrible. I think pushing your body and learning about your body is something that should be it should be encouraged. The same way people push their body running, learning what you learning about how you push your body when you put food into it and how it responds. I think I know I'm healthier now than when I started competitive eating, just because I'm super aware of what I'm putting in my body and I'm more in tune. I can tell when I'm gaining weight and losing weight. And what foods are taking longer to digest. So I think competitive eating, and it's come a long way. I think the more it's accepted, the more people understand their bodies.
Okay, so we'll head into the final few questions. So this is from Danny Blank. So you kind of said that you love it, so I'm not even so sure if this is relevant. But how long after a competition of a specific food do you stay away from that item? Like after a hot dog eating contest, can you look at a hot dog after?
Oh yeah, I'm usually the next day after a contest. I'm really light, and unless it's something special. But next day it's pretty much lettuce. It's a simple salad, cucumber salad, lemon, and but the next day it's almost it's pretty much just a fiber diet and maybe yogurt. But 2 days later I'll be definitely on. There's nothing I'm shying away from unless it's a food that got me sick. I still love hot dogs. I love going to a baseball game and having an average of a hot dog and a beer an inning, and it's something I love doing. It's like a runner naturally loves to run. If after a marathon, they're probably going to go jogging pretty soon, or a fighter. If a fighter, just because they got into a boxing match, they're not looking for a fight, but if you challenge them, they probably won't turn you down.
I definitely agree with that. So this is I think gonna be the last question. So this question is from Avram Glatter. He asks, how large are the meals you eat on a normal day? Like not practicing for anything. Like you sit down, lunch, dinner. What are you having?
Oh yeah, right now I'm eating super normal. I stick to one meal a day, one big meal. I'll have, like today I'm having a protein shake at midday, but my girlfriend will make dinner. I'll probably eat some sort of chicken and salad. But once a week, I'll have a big meal, and it's like my stretch. Even if it's even if I'm not getting ready for a contest, I'll try to do once a week. I do a really big stretch, and it's not always super unhealthy food. Sometimes it's a mix of healthy and unhealthy, but it's like my reward, and I've always done that. It's I try to eat healthy during the week. On the reward days, I just go to town, and that I want to keep my stomach used to being able to go from normal size to really really stretched and digest and be used to digesting a massive amount of food. And it's like if you don't use it, you lose it. And if my body's not used to stretching out and digesting a silly amount of food, when I start training for a contest, it'll be really hard.
I didn't realize you have to do like stretching competitive eating. That's so interesting.
Oh my god, there's so many weird things. I do yoga and I do swallowing air exercises so I fill up my stomach with air and then burp it all out just to keep those muscles used to being stretched really quickly.
Girlfriend probably doesn't love that one.
It's she puts up with a lot worse than burping.
Also, so I've been wondering this. So a few weeks ago, I tried connecting with you on LinkedIn. I was wondering if you would accept my LinkedIn request.
Dude, I hardly go on LinkedIn. I like ever. You see, I have like no friends on there. I've been meaning to delete that.
Oh man.
Well, do a lot of people use LinkedIn these days?
I mean, we're looking for jobs, so yeah.
All right, I'll make a connection with you. All right, I'll here's all right, Zach Greenberg.
Okay, excited. Yeah, perfect. So Joey, do you have any like final tips to the audience or closing remarks that you can give everyone as like a takeaway, or like a lessons you've learned over the years?
It's lessons I've learned. I don't turn things down. If you have an opportunity, take it. I travel. You never know what you're gonna fall in love with. I didn't think I was gonna fall in love with competitive eating like this, and I did. And I'm on this weird wave. I'm just still riding it. I'm just having a blast. But I just have a good time. I think I was getting messages pop up. Somebody was talking about drinking beer, and never turn down a free beer. If somebody's offering you a beer, just drink it.
Do you ever enter drinking competitions or only eating? Like, not even necessarily alcohol, like just like.
There's no real drinking contest because it would get unsafe pretty quick. But I hold some pretty weird title. There was one time I did 12 pints of beer in like 72 seconds.
Is that a record?
In the beginning, I was just swallowing them.
That's epic. Wow. What's like the weirdest record you think you hold?
Oh, the weirdest. Oh, that brain taco one, that 54, that was rough, and I don't think I'll ever eat them again.
Not the 2-foot slices of pizza.
That 2-foot slice, I think it was delicious. It wasn't that weird. It was a little bit sloppy, but
Jared was saying, he was like, I could eat 6 slices of pizza, and I was like,
I didn't realize they were 2 feet. They were 2 feet. We're going through some of your records last night, and not this one.
That's a weird one too. A lot of people have tried to break that record, and it's going to be a tough one to break. The 141 hard-boiled eggs. It's just it gets gross at the end.
Minutes.
That was 8 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy. Would you ever like? You never competed on like Man versus Food, right?
Yeah, I was on Man vs. Food.
Oh, you were on? Oh.
Yeah, cool. He came to San Jose, and he was like, there was like a 5 3/4 pound burrito that he was like, who can eat this burrito? And I was there, and he knew who I was, so I went there. I ate it on the show.
Wow.
It was.
Do you think he's crazy for like eating the spicy foods? Like you wouldn't like would you touch like spiciness or like you only like want real food?
Yeah, some of the spicy stuff is absolutely scary. I've heard horror stories where they put so much of the concentrated stuff in there, it can paralyze your stomach. Your stomach won't work with it. It like food won't digest. So I'm surprised he went through that much, but actually, just recently, I committed to eating a really, really spicy chicken sandwich, and they told me there was no concentrated spices, so it's just real pepper, and so that'll be my first time ever eating anything spicy for a challenge. But usually I stay away from the spice. And I love the actual eating, the feeling of bloated, like the whole eating thing of it. I don't like eating food that's torturous.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's about enjoying it. It sounds like that's what if you really enjoy doing it. If you enjoy doing it, those are the types of contests you'd want to enter. the ones that are foods that you enjoy eating.
Absolutely, and then like food, most of the time it's good food. It's a sponsor who wants to promote their event or promote their product, and they're not going to feed me garbage food. They want me to say good things about it.
Yeah. All right, so I think that's going to be a wrap. We wanted to thank you for joining and for agreeing to come out and talk to us. I guess come out, but come and talk to us over Zoom. And we all wanted to wish you a big happy birthday because we heard that your birthday is coming up on Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
That's big stuff.
23.
Man, 37.
Not a day over 20.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks a lot, Joey. Thanks, guys.
Take care, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.